Alrighty, good evening and or night, depending on where you are, progress and we've got for you the next match of the winners, or not winners bracket, upper bracket of the Galactic Circuit. Tonight we have Metallica versus King Beandip. I am Nock. I'm joined here by Lightning Pirate. How you doing, Lightning?
I'm great. I'm really excited for this match in particular between these runners. They're always really exciting to watch, and I'm a huge fan of watching these guys and commentating them, and definitely not playing them. But they're two extremely fierce competitors, and I'm looking forward to the match.
Yeah, and maybe the closest that this match will ever be. Normally, in previous years, I would have given the edge to King Beandip. I would have called him a pretty significant favorite, but he is kind of low practice right now. I believe in grad school and has a small child. And Metallica has been looking incredible this year.
Yeah, Metallica put up a very great performance against Goofbrush, and that's why he's down here, is because he just barely lost to Goof. He had Goof on the back foot the whole time in their winners quarters match, but in the end he couldn't seal the deal. And yeah, you're right. In the past, both these guys have faced on two other occasions, with King Beandip taking both 1v1s in a commanding lead. But yeah, you're right. The circumstances for today's 1v1 have certainly changed. Yeah, and if you look at the challenge and the Trugget bet, it does seem that Metallica is favored to win.
Yeah, I think it's going to be fairly close, but I would not be surprised to see Metallica take it maybe 6-3, 6-4 even.
Yeah, well, actually, today's race or today's match is one of the last best of nines. Is that right?
Oh, right. It's one of the delayed matches. Thank you for catching me there.
Yeah, so this is our losers' quarters, which means we only get to play to 5 wins. But I still think we're going to get our money's worth from these guys.
Yeah, here's hoping for that race 9 as ever.
Yeah, I can see it, especially. I mean, King Beandip, he's so unpredictable with practice versus outcome. Like it never seems to line up for him. Like he can be on 0 practice and still whip out some amazing times.
Yeah, it's true. King Beandip's muscle memory is pretty intense. You should be able to put up pretty top tier times no matter what here. It's just a question of how consistently he can do it. I recall in his last match he was having some crashing issues.
All right, looks like this is our start coming in here.
I don't know if anything happened to address this, but Hellfire is saying you're a little quiet, Lightning.
Okay, I think I bumped it up, so
Okay.
hopefully let me know if it's any better. Chat, please. But we are off into race 1 on Grabvine Gateway.
It's a pretty dramatic first pick, and already Metallica looking to have slightly the better of it. Maybe used a little more heat.
Yeah. Oh,
well, I'm not gonna say that.
Yeah, just an immediate death from Metallica. That's really unfortunate because his deaths per race average is actually half of King Bean's. Like that's the difference here. Where Metallica is known for crashing maybe once every 2 races, whereas King Bean is known for crashing once per race.
And it looks like that really threw Metallica off. He went pretty wide in the corner coming into the jungle section here.
All right,
Bean dies though.
There's King Beandip's one crash that his aggressive playstyle can't afford him. But we'll see how things even out of the swamp here. King Beandip still in the lead.
Yeah, up by almost 3 seconds actually.
Yeah, that's a crazy lap 1 for both. Both have to be obviously turning nerves have got to be high. This match was delayed a week, and King Beandip said he still didn't manage to get too much practice in that time. But so I was hoping for no excuses, but there are still some legitimate excuses. But it looked like a 2-second lead out of lap 1 for King Beandip.
I mean, you were talking about turning nerves. Track 1 is always the worst, which is why Grabvine is such a wild first pick. Hardest track in the game while you've got the worst of the adrenaline shot.
Ooh,
Oh,
Metallica had a really bad lap 2 Quake shortcut there.
yeah, just slowed
Just
down really hard.
Yeah, he couldn't quite get that angle right, so he'll be falling behind even further.
And let's see how... Jungle and Swamp is always the most brutal part of this extremely brutal course. Let's see how it goes for King Bean.
How did he not die into
Yeah,
that
sure,
wall?
I guess. Miracle on his side there.
Oh my goodness. King Bean Dip, somehow, he knows he already had his one death that he's allowed. So,
Right, it's just the universe conspiring.
yeah, that's his rule.
Just widening the gap even further with that bad shortcut for Metallica and more aggressive lines for King Bean again.
Yeah, it looks like we're going to be adding on. Ooh, quite the difference in times there.
Yeah, King Bean can actually probably afford another death at this point.
Yeah, it was really that unfortunate, very early death for Metallica and the lap 2 Quake shortcut. But let's see how Cheeseland goes for lap 3. Metallica looking better on that shortcut.
Yeah, but had to slow down to dip to like 270 speed, and King Bean took it dipping just below 400.
Yeah, this is what I'm talking about with that aggressive play style that really affords him that one death per race.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's why we love to watch him, right? Very dynamic racer.
But that'll be great if King Bean Dip can take this race one. Oh my goodness, again!
The same spot. But it's not going to be enough. King Bean is going to need to make one really bad mistake and probably another minor one, and he's running out of places to do it.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, on both those laps, you saw he was going at low enough speed that he avoided dying, which would have been a game changer. But he'll take it here and closing out race 1 with a 418.
422 for Metallica. Both, it should be said, reasonably strong times.
Uh, for sure, yeah. Their previous turning best was a 414. Yeah, so that still stands. King Bean Dips was a 414, and Metallica was a 428 with a death. So that's going to be race 1 to King Bean.
It's pretty impressive. It tells you kind of how strong Metallica is looking this year, that his previous tourney record had the same number of deaths but was 6 seconds slower.
Yeah, for sure. I can only see Metallica's. I think you mentioned this before. His skill level just going up and up.
Yeah, that match against Goof Rush. I do not envy anyone who has to face Metallica after seeing that.
For sure, yeah. Like I said, he had him on the back foot the whole match, but Goof Brush just clenched it out. A little bit about how these runners got here. We're looking at 5th and 6th seed in tournament. Metallica actually just barely took King Bean Dip by 7 points. And in this upper bracket so far, King Bean Dip was knocked down by Ace, who took him 5-3, and Metallica was knocked down here by Goofbrush, as we mentioned, in a race 9. So this match here is a battle for, I believe, top 4 in the bracket and the tournament overall.
Yeah, a lot on the line since this is loser's bracket. One player is going home here, which is pretty weird to be saying about these two.
Yeah, they're such top contenders. Like King Bean Dip, he was our 2019 champion, and that was our first annual tournament celebrating the 20th anniversary of the release of this game. Whereas Metallica, I don't think he's really had an outright win or like a champion seat He's just sat just outside that podium, and this would be his chance to kind of break in.
Yeah, we'll have to see what the prep looks like.
All right. Oh, I'm so sorry. They
Yeah,
were
I
waiting
just
on
realized I was
us.
like, why aren't the racers banning anything? And then I realized we have to do something. That's
Sorry, guys. That's on us.
late night pod racing. It's
Yeah.
it's a more laid back vibe. Okay, we will be seeing no Tatooine today. Metallica strikes the Bunta Classic, and King Beandip takes the Bunta Training Course. I would half expect to see Inferno be King Beandip's next ban, just because Metallica is so known for that skip.
I would have to agree. Yeah, that's definitely one of the more. Oh, and it's going to be Endoprime Centrum permaban from Metallica.
I'm a little surprised. No. Okay, King Beandip takes away Abyss, also a strong Metallica track. I'm a little surprised Metallica didn't strike any of the other Ando Prime maps. I know King Beandip has previously held world records on Ando Mountain Run and I believe Howler Gorge.
Yeah, that sounds right. He is very strong in both Endoprime and uh, Brunda, I'd say. But Brunda is where Metallica also shines, as we saw
Yeah,
in
King Beandip
qualifying.
was talking before the race, said he didn't want to go to Fire Mountain because Metallica had such a strong time there in falls.
But it looks like we got our temp bands rolling in with a Ben Quadinaros temp band from Metallica, followed by the Inferno temp band that you predicted. And this is
Oh,
where Metallica. Looks like we
King
have
Bean says he
the.
meant to permaban Inferno instead of Abyss, but is letting it stand. Ah, Draco is saying in chat, King Bean is a fan of Endoprime Centrum skips with bulls.
Oh,
That
that
may be the
yeah,
rationale.
that is by far a King Bean Dip trademark pick. Though I think didn't. Oh yeah, he did try that against Ace. But what was the outcome of that race?
I remember that was one of the ones he won.
Okay, yeah, you would assume that King Bean Dip would win that pick. King Bean letting that mistaken permaban stand. It looks like saying this is a strat he strongly considered. And Metallica taking us to the gauntlet. Skips.
Skips, of course. That's Metallica's bread and butter.
Might as well come out swinging with the skips pick.
Yeah, I like this. I've gone back and forth on whether you're supposed to save your force points, but I think in particular, if you feel you are ahead, you probably want to just burn your forces immediately and give them fewer chances to break your serve.
For sure, yeah. No, we've seen often how what a slippery slope, I should say, it becomes. Out of the gate, you lose race one, then it's your next pick, and before you know it, you're down three. So it's best to come out with your strongest picks, especially before your opponent has a chance to snipe them or ban them.
Right, exactly. You don't want to have to also use your salty run back to take one of your picks in particular.
Exactly. Yeah. These runners, it should be mentioned for the best of 9, they only get 3 force points and 1 run back, as usual.
Now, what variation of this skip is Metallica going for?
We did see something a little different from, was it Ace, exhibiting a very different variation than what we've seen. But it looks like it's going to be the standard one we're used to out of both these runners.
Okay, I like it. Stay safe. It's probably best for turning. Zelaskalart was doing something weird as well. I remember he was hitting the ramp off the track and jumping onto the wall ride. It was very strange.
You're right. Yeah, he was treating it almost like the new executioner skip, where it's like it's much more of a climb, like almost like the abyss skip, where it's like you're just driving straight in, perpendicular into a wall. But yeah, this is definitely more of a wall ride, I would say.
Okay, Metallica looking pretty strong through the tunnel. It's the one place where the skip can really go wrong. With Mars, at the very least, that wall ride is very consistent.
Yeah, and it's important, I think, to tilt right. Is it? It's you always got to tilt right. Though we've been proven wrong by some runners. Like actually, yeah, Metallica there tilting left, showing
Yeah,
us
I know
it
that
doesn't
I
matter.
tilt the wrong way, and Ace yells at me about it, or would yell at me about it, but it at high traction and 60 FPS, Mars can do it basically no matter what.
All right. So yeah, indeed, if you have that setup, that is the prerequisite. It shouldn't matter.
Right. I think if you're trying to do maybe 30 FPS or something, if you're trying to eke out a little advantage in the tube, then maybe you do need to start doing it the correct way.
For sure. I guess we should call that the foolproof method. Is the right tilt.
Yes. Yeah, definitely don't do what I do. Tilt the correct way.
Not calling anyone a fool, but you know. But yeah, both looking pretty comfortable in warm up. Here comes our countdown, and we should be starting soon.
Yeah, in particular, it's nice to see both players know to drive over the track spline that they're falling onto. Very important to do that, because then if you miss the track or get voided out by the out of bounds timer, you'll still respawn on the track.
Indeed, yeah, and it's a trap you might fall into where it's like maybe I can just cut a few units off of this turn, but no, you got to play it safe.
Yeah, in tournament, you do not want to get voided out and then get put all the way back on the top and have to redo the skip while you're driving from 0 speed on slow terrain.
For sure. And we're off into race 2 on gauntlet skips.
Alright. Both look fine on the first skip.
Both nail the landing.
Metallica got no bounce there. That was wild.
Oh!
Crashing the tube for KBD. Yeah, he was looking a little shaky on the tube in warm-ups. Crashed a couple of times there.
The other thing that maybe is best not mentioning. You know what? I'll just keep my mouth shut. But you probably know.
I'm well acquainted. We can talk about that after the match. I don't want to jinx anything here.
All right. Here goes lap 2 for Metallica.
Okay, very clean. King Bean, that looks super sketchy, what's happening to King Bean while he's vibrating on the edge there, but it's not, but it feels terrifying when you're doing it as a runner.
Yeah, especially when he just barely clears that top of the fence there. But it's a clean tube, second lap tube for King Bean there, but he's still behind a death.
Yeah, but actually gained a little time. That's interesting. And any mistake from Metallica here, you don't auto lose if you fail to skip, but it is maybe a 10-second penalty.
Yeah, it all comes down to this. This is Metallica's pick though, so after the first 2 laps of success, you would hope it would be a 3 for 3.
Looks like it will be. Metallica looks very, very practiced here. Obviously, kind of a skips aficionado. Oh, and King Bean.
Yeah, it's an unlucky death, just clipping back into the tube, almost like an RNG death there, but it looks like a clean tube for Metallica and the race 2 win. Oh, and yet another death.
And just for show, you know?
Just,
people like some fireworks.
Just, yeah, in case you didn't get your fill yesterday. for context, this was broadcasted July 5th
Oh yeah, that would
in
sound
America.
weird on a VOD. And wow, that was a like 2 second, no, 1.5 second tourney PB for Metallica on that pick.
Very nice. Yeah, shaving down. I think, um, actually, yeah, King Bean Dip previously had the best time with Mars there, the best non-Ben time, and now it's going to be Metallica's time there.
Yeah, very solid. Okay, now we can mention, because Game Draco mentioned it. The thing we didn't want to say was we hope nobody soft blocks and gets stuck in a rock. That would suck.
Yeah. See, if we had mentioned it, it would have happened. So it's a good thing we didn't.
I'll be honest, I was kind of hoping that King Bean's final death, after it was already clear he was losing, would get put in the rock, but it wasn't quite the right place.
How dare you?
It would have been amusing. We're
Yeah.
here partly just to showcase the game. One of the things we could showcase is the nonsense things the game could do to you.
All right. So yeah, score should now be 1-1. One fun fact I do want to mention about these runners is that if you were to add up all the times in tournament, all the tournament times, King Bean Dip and Metallica would be the top 2 runners by playtime. They have played the most in tournament. And I think that's just the nature of like where they sit within the bracket, that they always have to play the most matches. And they also favor the longer courses. So as far as experience goes in live races, I guess they go to these two.
That makes sense. They both often get knocked down to losers bracket, but then go very far. So you end up playing more matches that way.
Yeah,
Temp bans
exactly.
are in. We've got King Bean Dip banning Bull's Roar and Metallica banning Baru Coast. And we are going to Doug Derby. Looks like just a straight up Ben Mirror, the normal full track stuff.
King Bean Dip taking us to Doug Derby. That's cool. It looks like, yeah, King Bean Dip doesn't have a bend time here in tournament. So it'll be interesting to see how this goes.
Metallica has a 134 here in tourney, which is strong, but not unbeatable.
Right. And King Bean Dip trailing behind by 3 seconds with Mars. Like, that's pretty impressive to be at that pace with Mars. Especially with a wide pod through a narrow course, which we would be remiss to not mention is based off a real life race course. And that this is no meme, okay? This is no meme. This is no bingo card. This is just a very cool fact. That's based off of Laguna Seca, of course.
I was going to say it, but I couldn't remember if this one was Laguna Seca or if it was Sonoma.
I don't know what a good mnemonic device is to keep them straight. But I just know Laguna Seca is known for the chicane. So if you can somehow keep that in your brain.
Gotta say, I like this pick for King Bean. This is somewhere where his aggressive playstyle can really pay off, and where Metallica, having sort of safer, more consistent strats, sure, maybe King Bean has like a higher chance of dying, but he also, if he doesn't die, he's probably just gonna be a lot faster on lines and on heat, for that matter. It's really hard to use all of your heat on this track.
True, yeah. Heat management is a big thing here. And that lap 3 chicane is always somehow harder than the previous two, just because everything's riding on it. But yeah, this is looking... I mean, King Bean Dip cashed in a lot of deaths last race, so it would only reason that he cannot crash these subsequent races. So
Right, it has to average out properly. Of course. Yeah, the invisible wall, just like on Laguna Seca in real life. They have those. They just put up big old glass panes for the F1 cars or whatever races on that raceway to go through.
okay, I want to say this is our official start of race 3 on Laguna Seca. Or excuse me, dang it!
We've said it too much.
Of
King Bean
Doug
already a
Derby.
little ahead. Oh, Metallica, that was so scary.
Oof, yeah. Just barely making it through that lap 1 chicane.
That chicane is such a weird beast. It either feels like you're an absolute god and you're just perfect at the game when you go through it, or it feels like you have no idea what you're doing, you never did, and you're gonna slam into a wall and die.
It really brings out the imposter syndrome in everyone.
Oh, crash for King Bean and a much better chicane for Metallica that lap.
Yeah, after that bonk into the chicane, you could almost see it coming just into that opposite wall.
Yeah, especially with the way bonking messes with your steering in this game. Sometimes those deaths become unavoidable even after a pretty minor mistake.
Yeah, this is his pick, though, and into lap 3, it's going to be Metallica. It's a pretty strong lead after that death. Here's the lap 3 chicane for Metallica, and it's clean.
And King Bean also taking it clean, but it's not going to be quite enough. Just not enough track left to make up the time.
Metallica, I believe, setting a new... Let me see the seconds. Never mind. Still hasn't beat his tournament best there, but yeah. Oh, I almost thought that was a 140 even from King Bean.
So close. King Bean, you should have been 6 milliseconds faster.
All right, we are now at 2-1 for Metallica. So that's going to be a pretty significant lead after King Bean Dip taking race 1. So yeah, already a comeback out of the gate.
Yeah, totally reset that advantage King Bean had for winning track 1.
All right, into the race 4 band phase, we're seeing a Bulls Roar temp band from a King Bean Dip, followed by a Baru Coast temp band from Metallica. And it looks like King Bean Dip taking us to Vengeance, the 5th race of the amateur circuit. Or, excuse me, is that right?
I think you're right. Yeah, it's Vengeance, and then something that escapes me, and then Spice Mine Run.
Maybe it's 6th.
I gotta watch more Hondo.
Do we even play this game?
No, who are we? Also, I swear I updated the tracker, but the number has not changed yet.
Okay, yeah, our controls might be failing here. Yeah, I'm seeing it marked as 2 on my end. One of my favorite descriptions of this track comes from Goofbrush, who I think described it as more of a flow chart than an actual track. Because of its very linear nature, I guess.
Yeah, Vengeance, it's kind of a weird track. You're right, it is very flowcharty. A lot of the tricks are kind of hard to learn, especially Crossroads Boost, and that section King Bean just went through with the spinners is always dicey. But once you've got it down, it does feel pretty consistent.
Yeah,
There we go.
I marked it to 3 and then to 2, so I think that
Oh, okay.
you know how numbers work. You have to go to 3 first and then 2.
Right, of course, yeah.
But yeah, heat is definitely a huge difficulty on this course, while maximizing the use of fast terrain. Like that's the biggest trade-off on this course because of the sort of ambiguous. Unless you look at the collision and you know exactly where it's happening, there's a bunch of fast terrain happening in a certain portion of the tubes, and not to mention a downhill force that also helps. So there's a number of forces happening that you sort of need to take advantage of to really maximize your average speed here.
And that is really why you'll hear top players of this game say that the boost mechanic really defines a lot of these tracks. Maximizing, being able to max out your heat and also use that fast terrain is really, really difficult, and in a very deceptive way if you're not at that top level.
For sure. And it's going to be off into race 4 on Vengeance, both taking the straight shot through that figure 8, which is a difficult maneuver.
Though not boosting through it, staying safe. You can hold a boost through there if you're a daredevil.
But yeah, it's all about getting your heat up here to peak right after this. Forget what that thing is actually called. I think Draco likes to call it the reactor core beam.
It looks like just a bigger version of the plasma couplings. Is that what they're called? The things on the racers.
Oh yeah, the binders are
Plasma binders, yeah.
are we even Star Wars fans? Like we don't even have the vocabulary.
No, yeah.
But it's looking like an incredibly close first lap difference there.
Metallica is 4/10, right?
It looked, yeah, around 4/10 apart. And there we said, well, maybe Metallica's actually doing a true figure 8 there. I keep missing it.
Yeah, it looks like Metallica is actually moving through.
All right, thank you, Gail. Power coupling. I swear binder is there's something.
No, that sounds right to me too. Washed commentators. Yeah, you got us so far. Looks like King Bean has maybe regained. Oh, he's on much higher heat. That's why he looks like it.
Yeah. He's using a good amount of heat. Metallica is probably not going to underheat here, but he needs to figure out a way to get rid of all this heat through just this final lap. In order
now
to
basically totally even.
Yeah, it should be evening out, especially with the heat difference here. This is King Bean Dip's pick. Yeah, there we see Metallica basically taking the lead, but he is on the higher heat. King Bean Dip has to dump all this heat somewhere.
This is... Man, what a good race this is. We are so even here.
But yeah, we're seeing a lot of leapfrogging here into this back half of lap 3. And simultaneous exit out of the tube.
I think Metallica just barely has the edge. He's on a little bit higher heat. He might even be able to fire here.
Yeah, we saw it.
And
oh my goodness. Half-second difference. Yeah, I think we saw King Bean Dip get a little rocked on that last section there. But yeah, wow. Such a good race.
But that's got a sting if you're King Bean Dip.
Yeah,
Losing
now
on your own pick
down
again by that little.
down 2 points now, unfortunately, after taking race one. That is his one and only point, and Metallica has gone 3 in a row against King Beandip.
This is... Well, no, last race. Actually, if King Bean wanted to use a force every race, he would have needed to start already.
He'll just have to, ban a bunch of pods down to, I don't know.
It's true, you can use multiple forces layered on to make something extra nasty.
Who's in the middle of the pack here? Even Mars and Clegg. Oh yeah, down to like rats. He likes to rep rats.
All right, let's see what the strategy is.
Yeah, this will be the first Metallica versus King Bean Dip match where Metallica wins, if it happens.
Yeah, I mean, like you were saying before, they've faced plenty of times, but it's always gone King Bean's way. It's just Metallica looks so disproportionately strong this year to how he's looked in previous years.
All right, our temp bans for race 5 were a Ben ban from King and a Baru Coast ban from Metallica.
Same deal as... No. One of the races that happened.
Well, last race we saw Bowles Baru Coast,
Right.
which is what we were seeing before, it looks like. Yeah.
So it looks like Metallica just really does not want to do Brew Coast. Probably a good call. And once again, we're just doing straight up Bumpy's Breakers, but this time we're going to be watching a Bowls Mirror.
Bowles Mirror on Bumpies. Looks like Homura here has the non-Ben record with a 445 and a death.
And both King Bean and Metallica do have times with this setup, but both with 2 deaths. Let's
So
hope for
very,
something a little cleaner.
very even. Yeah, 2 deaths and 10 seconds apart. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's that aggressive play. Sometimes if you're dying, but you're still taking good lines, you can make up a bunch of time, whereas if you're trying to be safe and also dying, it's just a double punishment.
Yeah, I think King Bean Dip just has a talent for dying at the right places. Like if he
Right.
has to die, he'll die in the least impactful way.
He'll be on max heat, he'll be ready to reboost right away. You're right. And despite no forces used, this is a pretty scary counter pick. Especially trying to do shortcut with bulls sounds pretty awful.
Yeah, it's kind of tricky to figure out like what traction and FPS to use here because you're trying to balance Bowles' slippery nature with some level of control, but still being able to slide through there. So it's kind of tricky.
When it's especially weird, I feel like Bowles' slippery handling helps him a little actually on the switchbacks at the start, but then in other places of the track, you'd really rather be any other pod.
Yeah, for sure. Like almost that section immediately following that switchbacks is like a lot of very awkward straightaways, kind of at weird angles. I don't know how to describe it.
See who gets the better of it. Both of them have already crashed a few times in warm-ups. King Bean looked pretty shaky on the shortcut, which is fair. That shortcut is hard with every pod. Bowles is not doing it any favors. Wonder, did Metallica... I know he bumped, so does Metallica intend to take the safer shortcut, or does he intend to take the actual shortcut and just had to do a recovery there?
Yeah, we'll have to see. There is that safer backup that I don't think we've really like. Usually, it's you go big or go home on that shortcut. So I'd be almost surprised to see him take it safe. But we're going to be off into race 5 on Bumpy's Breakers.
King Bean with a much more aggressive line at the start of these switchbacks.
Yeah, Draco mentioning King Bean bringing along Bumpy to rig the door pattern. Not that it makes that huge of a difference, but if you're used to practicing with him, you might as well not upset what you're used to.
Yeah, you do not want to be trying to react to door patterns you're not familiar with in a tournament setting.
For sure. That's another section where if you get too much height, it could spell trouble.
Yeah, you more or less have to cut the boost off that ramp or you're guaranteed to crash.
All right, here we go. Lap 1 shortcut. Ooh.
Oh, Metallica
Wait.
almost went for it and then went for the safety. King Bean crashes.
You called it on that Metallica safety shortcut.
But since he went for that safety and King Bean got a decent respawn, it's actually not that far apart. This is maybe only a second and a half, 2 seconds?
Yeah, it's definitely a difference King Bean Dip could make up. Yeah, it's 2.5 seconds basically.
And they were pretty even before, too. It's not like King Bean was making up a ton of time in the rest of the lap. Once again, very nice lines from King Bean through this section. It's really tricky to get these hairpins this tight and also charge your boosts.
He's almost making Bulls look like an optimal pick here somehow.
Yeah, sometimes that super low traction, you can just really ride the slide and drift all the way through.
Yeah, look at this difference here.
Yeah, wow, he's almost caught back up.
Look at that. He actually did it. Wow.
That's incredible.
All right, there's that door pattern coming in for King Bean, I think. Okay, yeah, we see Metallica again taking... Oh, there we go. The brakes for King Bean.
Yeah, not taking the safe strat is definitely much faster. It's probably worth risking here, even with Bulls.
But yeah, that's going to give King Bean Dip a bit of a lead here into the end of lap 2.
And it grew even bigger. Metallica had a pretty bad bonk in that super sharp hairpin.
All right, this could be King Bean Dip's chance to make up some points here. Not let Metallica run away with it.
It's nearly 4 second faster lap for King Bean.
Incredible. Metallica deathless, King Bean Dip with a death.
Well, I thought he was going to get a second one there.
That looked really dicey.
He just barely re-hit slide in time.
Oh man. See, this is why you're getting your what do I want to say? Your money's worth. You're getting your money's worth.
Yeah, this could be the start of the comeback. It should be said, you know, Metallica will have a few more counter picks here to try and win on, but King Bean is such a strong runner, he can put up a top time anywhere.
He does not die, though.
Yeah, and it's still faster.
That was so... Oh my goodness. How does it get away with it?
It's a good thing it's lap 3, because your heart's got to be pounding after something like that. If that was lap 1, and that was setting the tone for your race, oh, you'd be cooked.
Yeah, excellent crisis management, Draco mentions. And that's going to be race 5 to King Bean Dip, taking it to 3-2.
I believe a tourney record for Bulls there.
A new best bowls time set by kingbeandip with a death. Not over yet.
Yeah, signs of life for King Bean. You love to see it.
All right, yeah, but like you said, it's now Metallica's chance to throw some counter picks at King Bean, and Inferno only exists as a temp ban, as King maybe mistakenly did, but we'll see if he probably throws it out here.
Yeah, let's hope he remembers that. Now, it should be said, Abyss, still a totally fine ban against Metallica, who is, I believe, obviously very good at the skip, and also, I think, quite good at the full track.
Yeah, I'd have to take a look at the leaderboard times.
I could be
Oh,
misremembering, but I thought I'd seen Metallica be kind of a beast on Abyss Full.
I wouldn't doubt you, but it looks like their best time is with a death. And actually, 2 seconds slower than, well, that is a practice time. So I guess I can't really report on the stats accurately.
A Mars Guo is the ban from Metallica. No idea what that means. I guess trying to bait an Inferno ban, but you would think King Bean would just
Oh,
ban Inferno
yeah,
anyway.
does it anyway. Yeah, you're totally right.
Because Boon to Training Course is also gone, which is, and Gauntlet Metallica can't go back to.
Yeah, true. Like, where else would you even consider Mars as like a skips pick, I guess? Oh.
Oh, well, Zugga, that's an answer.
Zaga skips. Let's go.
Oh dear. Okay. Zugga skips with Ben that's not the sketchiest Ben skip. He's not the worst pod here.
There's totally a way to play it safe, and I hope he goes for. Oh man, that would be crazy if he does anything other than the first and third skip, because the second one is really tricky to pull off. Even if you go right tube, like that that wall ride out of the tube is just so tricky because you're clipping. You're just barely getting enough height to go out of where there should be a ceiling, and then you're landing back in, not boosting. Like you're spending a lot of time out of bounds, not boosting. So it's a very risky maneuver to take. But I'm assuming if we can spy in warm-ups here, a first and third skip.
Yeah, for a tournament setting, I would hope that that's all they're going for. But we'll just have to see. Metallica, was it Metallica who whipped out the triplex against Ace and just casually set world record in tourney? Am I remembering that right?
That was actually me, and it wasn't triplex. It wasn't triplex. It was the second and third one that were the only ones known at the time. I don't think the first one was known at the time, but it was just discovered. There we see the first one from Metallica. It almost looked like he was trying to go for that second one on the wall ride. But yeah, that was like my one of my 2 wins against Ace, which is like really the only thing you can do against that guy. Oh wait,
yeah,
King Bean. Look at that. King Bean actually pulled off first into set. Oh my goodness.
Okay, this might backfire for Metallica here if King Bean is consistent on that.
That is insane. First try, he goes first into second. Oh my god. Okay, this is gonna be hype.
We've got a race here. That's something to go for that.
Oh man, this is such a hype pick. I don't know why. I don't even know if it does get trash talk, but it is. I think it's one of the more exciting skip picks.
Yeah, I would tend to agree. It looks super cool. It doesn't skip a ton of the track, so you're still like seeing a lot of what the track actually is. It's just, ooh, look at this sweet trick you can do.
Yeah, there we see both of them actually suffering the same exact fate of that clipping back in, which can happen. I know that's a suggested bingo card pick, but I don't care.
It's at the very least true.
Yeah, I don't think we've seen a third. I mean, obviously, the first and second skips are by far the hardest. That third skip, though, we have seen disaster strike when it's least expected. So it's just like any one of these skips can just completely melt the run.
Yeah, for sure. Even that third skip, which feels pretty consistent, sometimes it just does not go in your favor.
Metallica, he does nail
Is
first into second. Oh, this is so high.
okay, yeah, I guess what we saw on that first practice lap was just a backup. All right, this should be the real start.
All right, we are off into race 6 Zaga Challenge skips.
Alright, pretty even through the first section. Obviously, it'll be a little hard to see who's actually ahead before we see whether they make the skips. Though this track does have a few places where you could potentially get tripped up and either crash or lose significant time another way. It's not a totally snooze of a course.
Yeah, well, luckily these skips skip those portions.
That is true, yeah. It's really maybe just that first section where you get in trouble. Oh, King.
Metallica first into second. Kingbeandip didn't make the first one. He got just. Oh, and doesn't. Oh boy. Oh, what?
He didn't die, that's what matters.
Oh my goodness. He
That's
skipped it to the other
hard.
two.
What a wild first lap. Alright.
Our Metallica into his third skip. And a first lap triplex for Metallica. This is. Oh, and he dies. Wait, was that strategic? Because that's almost a faster turnaround.
That can't be faster, but it does look pretty fast.
He did flash his rear view as if to say he's fresh. Oh, wait, Kingbid. Was I not
No, we
looking?
were looking at that. Yeah, he missed the third one too.
Oh,
no.
my goodness. Kingbeandip 0 for 3 in lap 1. Wow.
I was so focused on Metallica, I don't even know if he died or not.
He may not have got the wall climb because it doesn't seem like he's another death behind. Metallica, lap 2, 1 into 2. He nails it.
Wow. I'm making it look easy. This is one of the hardest skip sequences to hit.
This is incredible. I mean, this performance. I mean, just up to this point, 1.5 laps. I'm already just wowed. Kingbeandip first skip, but not quite the second. And Metallica, the third. He's 6 out of 9 right now.
And even though I think Kingbeandip even looked a little stronger in practice, it just goes to show you there's nothing like the real race when it's no resets and you've got all of the adrenaline going.
Wait, it looks like Kingbeandip isn't even trying for the third one.
That's really weird. We saw him do that in practice, didn't we?
I don't think so. I think it was just the first two.
Huh.
I guess he does. That's really bizarre.
If there's one skip that you would know on this map, you'd think it would be the third one.
Yeah, that seems to be like, all right, here we go, lap 3. Oh my goodness, this is so...
What a player.
Oh, goodness. 8 out of 9 right now. Is he gonna beat Goofbrush's MFG time? This is so crazy.
What a strong showing from Metallica. Wow.
He does. He sets a new turning record with a 9 out of 9 triplex. King Bean Dip doesn't quite make the second skip, but it doesn't matter. If he missed even one, it would. Oh.
Absolutely incredible. What a solid time. Holy cow.
That
You
is,
can really never match Metallica on skips, huh?
that is so mind-blowing. He just whipped it out like it was nothing.
When he was... It almost looked like he wasn't going for triplex in practice.
Yeah,
So for
like
after all of that, for it to look that easy...
The first few warm-ups, I was like, there's no way. I even said at the start of this, there's no way he would go like for just all three. Oh my god. That was a perfect 9 out of 9. That was flawless. He got a new turning record. He beat an MFG time. That's how strong that was.
Metallica, I'm telling you, he looks cracked this year.
Oh my god.
Yeah, wow. One for the highlight reel for sure.
That is that's so deserved. That just demolished King Bean Dip with that race. It's now 4-2, right? Correct?
Yes, it is.
Oh man.
Oh, match point. King Bean has to now win his last counter pick, and then 2 of Metallica's counter picks if he's going to take this back.
That was such a strong pick. I mean, that's got to be a permaban from whoever Metallica faces next if he does.
Yeah, for sure. That's a new don't let him go there ever.
Holy crap.
King Bean says maybe my last pick of the year, and could be right, pending.
Yeah, this is indeed his last attempt to even make a pick.
It's Bulls Roars the temp ban, and Baru Coast again from Metallica. You're going to Sebulba's Legacy with skips.
Okay. All right.
Which makes sense. King Bean has been around in the community for long enough that he might actually just be more comfortable on the skips because this is the old full track.
Yeah, this is sort of the legacy full track. It's probably one of the softest skips there is, next to maybe the Scrappers one.
Yeah.
Which falls into the same category of being a legacy full track thing.
The Scrappers one at least kind of looks like a skip. So Bulba's Legacy, I
Highly
understand and
debated.
agree with the classification. It just, if you watch it and you are, a layperson, you're not super in the community, it doesn't necessarily look like a skip. It doesn't look that crazy anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing for me is like that very awkward right turn at the end of it that like I don't think could be called.
No, yeah, it's just I think if you're a layperson, you can convince yourself, well, that's just an unintended shortcut, right? It doesn't look like you're not clipping through a wall or anything obviously broken.
Sure, yeah. Here's what we're talking about on King Bean Dip's screen there.
Looked pretty clean for him.
But yeah, as far as the tournament best right now, there's a 2-second, almost actually less than that, a little over a 1 second gap from King Bean Dip to Metallica. With sorry, I worded that so poorly. King Bean Dip leading by 1 second.
Metallica screams bad there. Gets a red engine. Better than crashing, obviously. Which is very easy to do in several places on that, and some of the crashes there can be quite bad. If you end up getting put onto the lower track, you've lost a ton of time.
I like what Rick Ultima said there. It's just a Tony Hawk ledge grind. If you want to see that, actually, that's Inferno skips for you.
Yeah, true. That really is turning Inferno into a skate park. It certainly looks like a different game to the rest of Race Centric. Both players look reasonably solid and practiced here. So Build's Legacy does have a few difficult turns. This tunnel in particular can catch you off guard, and there's a bunch of invisible ways to die on that downhill Metallica, and King Beandip have just gone through.
Yeah, and I mean, I know we haven't seen a death so far in warm-ups, but it's always the live race that'll get you. And the ending maneuver of that skip is also very tricky to pull off correctly.
Yeah, they're both at least consistently making it over, but that trick is a lot less consistent than I think they're making it look.
Yeah, because it's almost like you can't just do a wall ride. You have to do sort of a jump off onto it and then hop back off of it. It's almost like a double jump.
Right. When there's some awkward, like holding nose up and then stopping the nose up. There's some weird hover height manipulations you can do. I remember having a really bad time trying to learn that. And this looks like it's the real start for potentially our final track of the match.
That's right. This is race 7 on Sebulba's Legacy Skips. King Beandip's last pick here. Last chance to keep Metallica from running away with it.
Once again, they're looking relatively even, but it's all going to come down to that skip at the end of the track.
Oh, King Bean lost the boost there. Trying to keep from underheating. Oh, it's a death
no.
control.
Just barely slid out and whacked the back of the pod.
That's a rough start after lap 1 for King Bean. But we'll have to see how laps 2 and 3 go for Metallica.
Metallica, it did seem like, was crashing fairly often on that skip in warm-ups, but it seems like he might have some X-factor when the actual run starts and the pressure's on.
Yeah, it's got to be. Yeah, there we go. A clean lap 2. And King Beandip as well. So it all comes down to lap 3.
Although even with both of them being clean, Metallica's lap was faster, so he's still gaining time.
Yeah, it all comes down to this. This is the tunnel for Metallica. He holds the boost. Gets a very, yeah. He's clean all the way through. Makes it look easy.
Yeah, even the mini boost in the air just to keep the heat a little higher.
And here's his lap 3 skip. Clean.
What a beast.
Doesn't even touch the opposite wall. And he takes it 145, race 7, and the match. GG's.
Yeah, GG's indeed. A lot of very close races, but Metallica just a little too consistent and a little too powerful to beat.
That is the first match versus King Beandip that he wins when he's used to going 2-5 against King Beandip, and now the scores are completely reversed.
We'll see if we can get these players for some interviews here.
Hello.
Howdy there, runners.
Thanks.
GG's. That was a fantastic match, at least from our side of it. Some very solid racing from both of you. Very close races.
Nah, I would disagree. Yeah,
I mean, Despite what it might have felt like, a lot of these races were pretty tight most of the way through, and then it would come down to one little thing going wrong.
Uh-huh.
Metallica, we gotta ask, why is it so easy for you to get that Zugga triplex? That was wild.
Well, I wouldn't say it's easy, but yeah, I did practice it all day yesterday and today.
Oh wow.
So I've been like discovering all the ways you can crash, and I try to avoid them essentially.
That was so hype. I was just blown away that whole race. I was like, no way is he gonna get all 9. And then on top of all that, you beat Goofbrush's MFG tourney record. Oh, incredible.
I think the other highlight for me from that was that Vengeance, which was within half a second by the end. You were both leapfrogging each other so frequently during that with the heat management.
Yeah, I underheated at the end. It's really hard to remember to boost early in the final tube.
Yeah, that makes sense. Lap 3 differences.
Because you're like, yeah, you're still pretty far away from the finish line, but you have to boost it. Or you don't make it. I can't believe we started on Grabvine. Like, I never prepare that for tournament anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looked like you both just had one death there. But King Bean Dip definitely had the better death.
Yeah, my death was so costly, and you know, when you guys were talking here in the voice chat, I was just completely focused on practicing. I wasn't paying attention to your voices. I just wanted to practice and finish with no deaths, but then I died right away.
Well, thankfully, it did not set the tone for the match.
Yeah, I mean, immediately following that loss, Metallica went 3 wins in a row. Like that, it just completely turned things around there.
Yeah, and I'm glad that I finally got the gauntlet to work properly again, because well, I'm not entirely sure, but I think the last like 3 or 4 times that I've done it, I've had like some random death.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm pretty happy with that. But then kingbeandip said he could have beaten that one, so I don't know.
Yeah, I think
my deaths were, I had 2 deaths in the tube and 1. I don't remember where my other death was. It was kind of random though.
Oh yeah, you had that weird bounce that slammed you into the ceiling. That was very strange.
That's what it was.
I figured out that to avoid the bounce, you just gotta hold the slide button, I think, or that's what I've been doing recently, and I haven't had any deaths to the ceiling.
Oh, okay, yeah. Knock was commenting on the lack of bounce there.
Yeah, I was wondering, you just stuck to the road. Okay, just hold slide.
Hold slide all the way, yeah.
Okay. I prepped that right before the match. Just quickly. I did it first on Ben and then just switched to Mars without changing traction or anything. And so I went into this on really high traction. That was unnecessary. And then I forgot that on high traction that the rocks become impossible to avoid.
Yes, depending, especially with Mars.
Yeah. So that got me.
Bumpy's was a fun watch, especially with that. I think it was a lap 1 death from kingbeandip, and then to see you just scrape it back second by second, and then Metallica also taking that safer shortcut. It was really great racing to see Bulls tear up Bumpy's there.
Bumpy's is always a really fun track.
Yeah, the shortcut always catches me off guard in some way, so I've been working on the backup of, if I realize I'm not gonna make it, quickly turn over to the smaller, the the slowest shortcut, but
Uh-huh.
it wasn't enough this time.
Yeah,
And
it's a
once-
smart play. Just King Bean was able to make that shortcut, the faster shortcut, twice.
For sure.
And actually, once again, had a fairly favorable death on that first lap. You got the good respawn.
Yeah. Yeah, that one I started to crash and I'm like, turn towards the spline.
Oh, okay, so there was some... You were manipulating that. Interesting.
Yeah. I think that helps. Lightning probably has a better idea than I do.
I know.
Uh,
One thing I just remembered we have to ask, King Bean Dip on the Zugga Challenge third skip. What's going on there?
you mean the third lap?
Oh no, just the third skip in general, like that wall ride around the dozer.
Oh, dang it.
Was
Totally
that not?
forgot about that skip.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, we were wondering. We were like, I feel like he knows this.
Oh my goodness.
Because yeah, we both weren't watching the first lap, and we're like, did he not get it? Did he slip off? And then the second lap, I watched you, and I was like, is he just not going for it?
Oh man, I can't believe I did that.
But I mean, ultimately, it didn't matter because if
Yeah.
you didn't get 9 out of 9,
Yep.
what could you have done? Honestly,
Well, I was paranoid of Metallica choosing Inferno and Doug Derby and Bunta Training and a bit skips. I was just like, and then Zugga just slipped under the radar. Even though people have picked it on me several times before.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, at some point, there's just so many counter picks that it could be. And you
Yeah.
only have so many bands.
Yep. Metallica, I believe this is the first time you've beaten me.
Yeah, the very first time. This is like the first time I've beaten. I don't know how to say it. Like someone who always used to beat me.
Uh-huh.
Like, I've never beaten Ace or Mike or a bunch of people like that. But this is the first time I beat you, so I'm pretty happy actually.
Nice. Well, congrats.
for sure. Yeah, it's a huge accomplishment. After 2020, it was 5-2. 2022, it was 4-1, and now Metallica taking it 5-2.
Yeah, and actually in 2021, I practiced all week, and I felt pretty sure that I was going to do something good there, but then I just lost almost everything. So I was pretty worried here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, huge win. It's super exciting to see you take it into the top 4 of this upper bracket. I hope you're excited as well for facing the loser of, excuse me, the winner of Ace and Hellfire.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I would call it exciting, but yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
I don't know, given your showing here and versus Goof, you look like certainly one of the people to beat this year.
Yeah, I mean that Goof match, you just had him on the back foot the whole time. I'm still amazed he got out of there alive.
Yeah.
But yeah, King Bean Dip, this is sadly the end of your 2023 run.
Yep.
But you've put on an excellent showing, as always.
I feel like this year's tournament is very much anyone's game.
Yeah, for sure.
Goofbrush is I think he has the fastest times overall right now, but Ace and Mike, you're really scary in tournament. And Metallica has been getting a lot faster this last year, so the top 4 will be crazy.
Yeah, it's going to be really exciting to see how things progress into the end game of this tournament. as we head into. We still have one more losers quarters. We still haven't seen the results of the Ace versus Hellfire match, but be sure to look out for it. And in addition to that, the winners finals should be taking place at some point between Goofbrush and Mikey Burger. So keep on the lookout for that as well.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. Lots of great matches this year, and this one certainly had some for the highlight reels.
Yeah, you'll be happy to know, King Bean Dip, that you had plenty of stands in chat rooting for you.
Yeah, I'll have to go back and look at that.
All right, well, GG's to the runners. Congratulations, Metallica. And King Bean, we're sorry to see you go.
All right, well, GG's. It was a lot of fun. I'll look forward to next year.
For sure. And thank you, as always, to SpeedGaming for hosting this. Good night to all the racers and everyone in chat.
Bye.